I'm at Hurst Priory, built in the early to mid 18th century. This beautiful country house is in the parish of Belton on the Isle of Axholme. The Priory is a charming historic building that's won loads of awards for hosting weddings and events, and it's located in beautiful grounds. My name's Paul Holloway, and today I will be presenting a session on photography tips. So what do you need photography for? Well, there's a whole host of reasons why you might need photography. For your website, for social media, for marketing materials, or maybe if you're sending out a press release. The sorts of images that you need for each may be different. If you've got a budget for a particular project, then that's great. Get a professional photographer in. But it's also a really good idea to build up a bank of imagery and be thinking about the sort of photos you might be able to capture around your business. One of the first things that I would recommend is building, managing, and maintaining a digital photography library for your business. Thinking about the different areas we've just spoke about, all sorts of images, things that come up, nice events, something that looks fantastic, a red sky at night, seizing that moment and capturing it. But of course, maybe like here at Hurst Priory, if you have weddings here all the time, 3 or 4 a week sometimes, you're going to have professional photographers at your business on a regular basis. So if you could start to build a relationship with them, that's a good idea. While they're here, obviously their focus is on the wedding, but maybe it might be an opportunity for you to say to them, oh, do you know what? It's lovely blue sky today. Could you take some shots of the grounds if you have a moment? Start to build up that relationship, take their card, pass it on to other clients, things such as that. You start to find that photographers may be able to do you a few favors. Of course, they're in business, and if you want a proper project doing, they're going to expect paying like everybody else. But if you build that rapport, you might find that they might be prepared to share some images that you may be able to add to your library. Finally, I'd suggest looking around your team and identifying who's got an interest in photography. Maybe there's somebody that works in your business that's got a fantastic Instagram account and has a real eye for photography. We can all learn how to take better photos, but we all know there's somebody in our family who, if they take a photo, they're not going to get the subject's head in. So if you can find somebody in your team that has an eye for photography, when those moments come along that catch the moment or they won't happen again, then they might be the person to turn to. So I'm going to run through some of the very basic technical elements of taking a photograph. First thing we're going to look at is aspect ratio, which way round you're going to take your shot. We're going to look at framing, what's in the background, the light, capturing the moment, and of course, post-production and filters. So let's start with the aspect ratio. Now, today, you don't need a professional camera to take really good pictures. You can take some pretty good pictures as long as they're not being used on the side of a bus or being blown up to an enormous size. You can get some good resolution off the phone that's in your pocket. But how do you want to take the photo? Landscape or portrait? Of course, it depends what the purpose of the photo is. But if you see a moment or something is happening, or you're taking some photos of members of your team in front of your premises, why not make sure that you've got both in the locker, and then it gives you more variety in the bank of photography that you can build up about your business. And of course, remembering social media, the Instagram generation, they'll be taking photos that are square and fit on a phone screen. The important thing also to think about when you're capturing a photo and which aspect ratio to use is what story are you telling, and making sure it's nicely framed. The great thing about digital photography is it gives you an opportunity to try different angles. In the old day, you'd have to go through reels and reels of film. Taking photos, have a go. If you get it wrong, you can just delete. When you're framing a photo, it's important to try and think about what story are you telling, and what are you trying to grab that's going to sell your business? You also might be looking to capture a moment and people's experience, making sure that subjects are relaxed, the people you're taking the photo of, and having a good time, capturing that moment. Nobody wants to see a photograph on your social media feed of somebody at a wedding where they look like they're having a miserable time. So getting those smiles and natural pics are an art and something which, if you try, you might just capture. You might also want to consider using a softer focus in the background. This is a technique which is used all the time, particularly when photographing food. But it can also work for people as well in beautiful events like a wedding that they might have here at Hurst Priory. It's important the subject of your photo is in focus, and also make sure that you have your subject in shot. Of course, when you're using digital photography, if you get it wrong, you could always have another go. Making sure the background that you have in your photography is selling your business. So it's that thing about decluttering and paying attention to detail of exactly what is in shot. If you're taking some shots of members of staff that you might want to use in the future with press release or social media, you might want to use branding or have a backdrop of a unique selling point for your business. Lighting is incredibly important when taking photographs. You can use natural light wherever possible. That is normally best. The light source should be behind the camera. If the light is in front of the camera, then the subject will get bleached out. So you want to try and make sure the sun's behind you and your subject is in front. But of course, you need to also look out on a very sunny day that you are not casting a shadow, which will then appear in your photo, or your subject is squinting because the light is just too bright. If you're taking photography indoors, then consider using additional lighting. But remember, if you use flash photography, it only floods the foreground with light, so the backdrop will not necessarily be seen. If you get the opportunity to try and take some photos, say of your team that you might want to add to press releases or put on social media, look for a day when you've got blue sky and it looks great outdoors and your business is looking at its best. The other art of photography is capturing a moment and telling people's story. If you want to have a photograph of your customers, you want to have them having a good time, and the thing that makes us all relate to people, big smiles on their faces. Taking as many shots as possible and picking the best one. Try to capture the moment of people enjoying themselves at your business. And remember, of course, you need to get consent. You don't want disgruntled customers coming back to you afterwards. Post-production gives you the opportunity to edit your pictures and make them look even better. You can crop out anything you didn't quite see that's in frame that you don't like. You can make darker photos brighter, and you can always use filters as well, which of course are very popular on social media, especially Instagram. But beware. Too much post-production will eventually start to erode the quality of the photograph itself. So you can brighten any photograph, but getting the light right in the first place is always the best tip, because eventually if you light things too much, you bleach it out and the quality of the photography disappears. So I hope this has helped. Making sure that you're capturing moments as you go along. All of the team in your business, have you got a press shot of them? So if anything happened, you could send that on in a press release. If you're loading photographs you've taken yourself onto your website, one word of warning. Try not to mix styles too much. If you spent an awful lot of money getting a professional photographer in to take some fantastic pics, and then there are photos not quite of the same quality that you or a member of your team has taken yourself, that clash of styles can really show. And remember, of course, if you are taking photographs yourself, always to ask members of the public or clients that are using your business if they are happy with the images that you are planning to use. So that's the end of the session on photography tips. Hopefully you found this of interest and useful.